Mr. Mamadou Boubacar Diallo.
Permission of the Commission, may I announce my representation? V. Andrews appearing for Mr. Bazzi and Mr. Fazek. V. Andrews appearing for Mr. Bazzi and Mr. Fadimazegi.
Still on the oath?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Diallo, last time you were here, we were talking about the discounted checks just before you left.
Yes.
And basically you had said that Mr. Bazzi had requested that, or Global Trading Group, had requested that the checks be discounted when post-dated checks, or had discounted the post-dated checks
Yes.
at the bank, and you were requested to share the cost, is it, of the discounting. I'd like you to continue from there. And you had said you had resisted this.
Yes.
Now, but we know from the records that eventually NABEC had shared the cost of discounting the post-dated checks that were issued to Global Trading Group. Do you have anything else to add on
Yes,
this
okay.
issue?
Maybe just to clarify, I could remember the issue of the discounting being presented to me on 2 occasions. The first time, you know, well, he said that we should refund, not to share. That was the first time that we should like refund everything.
Refund
the cost of the discounting.
Okay.
You know, I think this was in 2009, if I can fully recall. Then the second time, this was in 2011. That was the time he said that we should share the cost, because I told him outright, as far as I'm concerned, it is his responsibility. Then after, you know, then he said, okay, he proposed, you know, that the cost be shared between NABEC and GTG. But, you know, but for me, you know, that's not the, it wasn't the responsibility of NABEC. Definitely it was theirs.
Okay. Let's move on to the capacity charge.
Yes.
Well, we haven't even spoken about the IPP yet, I think. Now, when you became managing director,
Yes.
The IPP had just been concluded.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yes.
The contract for the IPP had just been concluded.
Yes.
Was it commissioned whilst you were managing director, the IPP?
No, it was commissioned before I was managing director.
Okay. Now, what was the impact of the IPP on NABEC operations from your own perspective?
Well, in terms of the supply of electricity, there was drastic improvement, you know, for some time. But like when it comes financially, it created a lot of problems for NABEC. because we could not afford it. We were not making enough money to be able to pay the IPP and at the same time take care of our other responsibilities. Because you have to understand that with NABEC, we are not only in charge of the supply of electricity, but water is there, sewage and other activities. So with the IPP, all the money was going towards settling the IPP, and most of the time it was not enough. So we had to go to the banks to get money. In addition, we have to give post-dated checks, because we were losing a lot of money. The network was very bad at this time, and all that contributed to the problem. This is why I think the IPP was premature.
What had the network got to do with it?
I mean the transmission and distribution network, because if the network is not good, you lose a lot of the electricity that is generated before it gets to the customers.
Okay. And financially, was it a good deal for NABEC? You said you could not afford it, but affordability seems to me, under the circumstances,
financially it was not a good deal for NABEC. Returns. But in this case, that was not the thing.
Right. Let's move on to the heavy fuel oil supplies.
Okay.
Now, the contracts for HFO, the initial one was signed in 2002.
Exactly.
Before you became managing director.
Yes.
But the second one in 2007
yes.
was signed by yourself.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the evidence that has been led so far indicates that when the original contract was signed in 2002, the markup of 17% in that contract included approximately 3% or 3% for building tanks at Halfdye. When you signed the second contract, however, the markup still remained 17%, even though the tanks had not been built,
yes.
and even though Global Trading Group, through Mohamed Bazi, had written to say that instead of building tanks, he will compensate NABEC by giving NABEC free storage of fuel at its depot. So it seems logical that from 2007, the markup should have come down to 14%. Were you aware of the 3%?
No, I was not.
You were not?
No, I was not.
So what were the circumstances?
I was not privy to the negotiations the first time around. So when Bazi brought the contract to my office, he told me that, the president is sending him, to go and negotiate a fuel supply contract on behalf of the country. So he wanted me to sign that contract. Okay, so then, I did not have, time to look at it because he was sitting in front of me and he said that he had to go. And he was flying out that night because it was the first time that I saw the contract. So, then I saw that the other one, it was Platt plus, I don't know, 50-something or 40-something plus 17%.
And so that you speak to the document.
Okay.
This is Exhibit SC 89. 89A. Could you give him Exhibit SC 89A, please? Can you just confirm that this is your signature? It was signed on behalf of Global Trading Group by Mohammed Bazi.
Yes, this is
the presence of Manhal Wedat.
Yes.
And signed by, I believe, yourself.
Yes.
In the presence of, can't decide what his signature. Is that your signature?
Yeah, this is my signature.
And it was signed on the 30th July 2007, even though the contract indicates at the beginning that it's 2002. Can you confirm it was signed 30th July 2007?
No, I cannot confirm the date because, like I said, when Bazi came to my office, you know, this.
But it was in 2007.
I think so.
Mr. Jallow, if you look at the signature page, there is a date against the witness's signature of 30th July 2007.
Yes, this is what I'm saying. I'm just trying to explain what transpired in my office that day because I am under oath. When Bazi brought the contract, you know, he explained to me that he's sent by the president.
Yes, you've already said
yes,
that. Now you've gotten to the stage where you were talking about comparing the two documents.
Yes,
this
I
one with the
compared the two documents.
Do you want the first agreement as well? Exhibit 89B, SC 89B. Mr. Koli, can you take out Exhibit X? Okay. I'll give him the copy.
Okay, yes. Like the price, that's 52 per metric ton plus 17%. Yes. Then when I saw the 17%, okay, the other one also, the one which was signed in 2002 also had 17%. So just by looking at it, I told him, look, I think 17% I can get this as a prime customer. I can get 17% from the bank, you know. So I think you should, you know, consider reducing this, you know, just like I was just trying to negotiate something for NAWEC. But then he told me, no, don't worry. The president said at the end of the contract, NAWEC can bring fuel, you know, to the depot that is at the tank farm, and NAWEC will not pay any charges. So that was the explanation he gave me.
Could you repeat the explanation, please?
You know, at the end of the contract, okay, NAWEC will be free to bring consignment of at the tank farm without paying any.
That's what I don't understand, because there was no tank farm.
Well, at Mandinari, sorry.
Oh, at Mandinari.
Yes. He said at the end of this contract, NAWEC can store fuel at Mandinari without paying any charges. Okay, that was what he explained. And when he came to my office, I was alone. So this is why I'm saying this, because I even told him, look, you know, I'm alone. But he said he had to take the contract to State House. Like I said, he's going to the president and he had to fly out of the country that evening. So I could not call, you know, anybody from NAWEC to sign as my witness. This is why when I saw the contract the first time here, then it puzzled me. So when I saw the finance director's signature, 30th July 2007, because he was not in my office when I was signing it. So either when he brought it back from president's office, he gave it to him. This is why I'm saying I cannot ascertain that the date is 30th July 2007.
The witnesses, who are they, the signatures?
This is the finance director, Alaji Jallow.
Alaji Jallow?
Yes.
So you are saying he did not sign it?
In my presence.
All right. Going back to the terms, the price. Another difference is $52 per metric ton, flat, which is flat. The earlier contract had a different pricing in relation to the freight. It just said freight. We're trying to find it. What was it? Why $52 per metric ton?
Per metric ton.
The earlier contract did not have that. It just said freight, I think, plus 17%. Why was it now specified? This contract was to last for 5 years.
Yes.
So why $52 flat?
Plus freight.
Was there any reason that you can remember now?
No, because I think with the other document, I saw freight flat plus, I think 40 something on that one. Then this one, the one I signed was flat plus 52 plus 17%. Freight 52 plus 17%.
At this time, the management contract was in place?
Yes, it was in place, yes.
But you were still the managing director of NAWEC?
Yes, I was.
At that stage, you did not think it was necessary to seek or at least confirm from the records what had previously transpired, or talk to your management team if you had one?
Yes, definitely. You know, like, it's like I was doing my job in good faith, and the way things were in those days, you have the management contract is there at the same time also, because the fact that he mentioned the president, you know, sent him and that I should sign the contract. So definitely, I felt that, you know, I should not refuse because of the implications.
Okay. Were you aware that in the previous contract, Mr. Bazi, or not Mr. Bazi, Global Trading Group were supposed to build a tank at Habdai?
No, I was not.
At this stage, you were not aware of this?
No, I was not aware. I only learned about this thing very recently, about the tank farm, that they should build a tank farm and everything. You know, so this is the issue.
All right. Before I move on to another topic, I don't know whether the commissioners have questions on this point. Okay.
A quick one. You mentioned loss in transmission and distribution.
Yes.
Do you know how much was lost of the electricity generated from the IPP? 20%, 10%? Was it quantified to know?
Well, at that time, you know, we used to say that the losses were about between 27 and 33%.
Okay. And the IPP didn't seek to address that.
No.
They just focus on generating.
Exactly. That was all that they did.
So that means, as MD of NAWEC, if you are asked what were the two problems that kept you awake at night, what would transmission be part of it? It looks like on the generation side you were okay. You could generate. So what two issues kept you awake at night that you sought to address if you had been given a free hand?
Yes, even the generation was a problem because it was not perfect. You have to understand that the generators at Brikama, where, you know, they were not new generators. So they were not, you know, very reliable, as you would expect when you have an IPP with new generators. Then you don't expect any problems with regards to generation. But with this IPP, the generators were second-hand. So they used to have problems, just like we used to have with the ones at Kotu. So then you cannot sleep because there is a generation problem most of the time at Kotu because the machines are older. Then you have also at Brikama, that is the IPP, you have problems, you know, from time to time. And normally when there is a problem also, they always blame like NAWEC, because it's NAWEC, because people know about NAWEC, they don't know about the IPP. So whenever there is a blackout or a problem, even from the authorities, it's like Kotu Power Station, and you know all that such things, you know, put us under very severe strain, and you know, even sometimes, you know, the staff get intimidated because they think that it is sabotage or whatever, when that is not the case. So that was a big problem. That's why when I was MD, I hardly sat in my office. I would go to the power station at night, you know, just to make sure that, you know, when there is a problem, the right people are there to solve the problem. Because if not, you know, anything can happen. You know, they can pick me up, they can pick up the other personnel at the power station when we are not responsible for the problem. So this was like a relationship between, you know, like the powerful and the weak, you know, so we have to pay the price being on the weak side of the equation. So when it comes to transmission and distribution also, the network, you know, was also very bad, you know, but what we did, you know, when I was MD was to, you know, I would engage the boys, you know, the technical guys, and see how best we can improve on it. And whenever they give me advice that we should, you know, change transformers here and there, so we try to do that within, you know, within the money we generate from the operation. So we change a lot of transformers, you know, change some of the lines, you know, just to make sure that we reduce the losses and try to make, you know, money. Yes.
We are not technical people, so we would like to know more about this loss you are talking about in transmission and distribution.
Yes.
Now, quite apart from money,
yes,
cash, what does this loss consist of? Is it because of faulty transmitters, or the size of wires, or what? Can you explain? How did this 27 to 33%?
23 to 33. Yes, just
why did it occur?
Just like you said, like at that time, you know, the network was, you know, the network was very bad, and still they are working on it because the network dates back to maybe colonial days, where in most areas you have single phase, you know, lines instead of three-phase lines. So, you know, when, you know, electricity passes through those lines, you know, they overheat. You know, so in the process, you know, electricity is lost. Also with the transformers, you know, some of the transformers are overloaded. You understand? So because of that also they overheat. You know, sometimes even if you get close to a transformer, you know, you can't even feel the heat. You know, this is why sometimes even the workers may have burns on their hands, you know, when they get very close. So all these things should have been taken into account before the IPP, you know, was contracted out. So, but this was never done. So the other loss is because you also need investment. You know, you have to invest in electricity meters. because there was a time a lot of the electricity meters, because NAWEC, GUC or whatever, was not making money. So they would not change the meters. You have some of them over 30 years, 40 years or whatever. They, you lose, those are what they call commercial losses, because it's caused by the metering. Okay, the technical is, is the losses, that you encounter because of the bad state of the transmission lines and distribution network.
Sorry. So in layman's terms, you are saying because of the bad network and the state of the transmitters, the electricity actually either escaped or got burnt out. Is that what you are saying?
You can say.
I want to understand you.
Maybe escape, because then it will not get to where it should go.
I see. Escape.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
So now, sorry, the whole weakness in the infrastructure, was it highlighted to the IPP team to tell them, despite what you generate, there's going to be leakage and 30% will be lost in transmission? Or there was no time for that because of the executive influence that you must go the IPP regardless of the situation?
You are right, because these things, they just go and negotiate with NAWEC and sign. Sometimes they even give you, a deadline. Because just to, like recently I was listening to the commission and I heard about the Nanovo contract, because even that one, it was the same thing. At the airport, they just call you, negotiate with X and sign by Friday. So these are some of the things. You have very, good people at NAWEC, highly trained, highly educated. But, if you are not given the freedom and the chance, to transform your organization, whether you went to, Harvard or MIT or wherever, you cannot solve anything, because everything is imposed on you. So I'm sure, when this IPP was being negotiated, they must have told them, go ahead and sign, because these were not tendered. That is normal procedure. You have to tender for IPPs, because you're talking of millions of dollars. But if you tell someone, okay, go and do this, go and do that with NAWEC, because once it is from the office of the president, everybody, because to tell you the truth, sometimes we don't trust each other, even at the meeting. If I want to say my honest opinion, I may keep quiet, because I don't know what my, the other maybe director or manager will tell the authorities, So it was just like, Malawi during the time of, Kamuzu Banda. It's the same thing. You are afraid to talk to your colleague at work, So I think, Yahya Jammeh was the problem. He was the biggest problem. Otherwise, we would have been out of this situation, definitely.
One more before handing over to Council. What was the motivation of the OP in insisting on this type of arrangement?
From my experience and the way I analyze things, OP, Yahya Jammeh, that's OP, he never wanted to do business with reputable companies. You understand? He always wanted to do business with individuals, so that he can bully you around. You understand?
Was it just bullying?
Bullying.
Was there some financial interest?
Definitely, because we all know, when Yahya Jammeh came to power in '94, he did not have anything, But because he was dealing with individuals, like British companies, American companies, Canadian, Swedish, they will not bribe you. But with all these other, small companies or individuals, from, wherever, you do it, because of what you are getting, what he was getting. And he was fooling everybody that he was the good citizen, he's the patriot, the rest we are bad people. I used to have a lot of problems with even some permanent secretaries, even secretary generals. They would like me to, fight with Bazi, or other people, So I always tell them I will not expose myself. I don't have Yahya Jammeh's line. You are sitting with him every day. Tell him the problem. If he call me and ask me to explain face to face, I will tell him my opinion like I do whenever he asks me directly. But when he uses third parties, you risk your life because you don't know what they would tell him. So Yahya Jammeh was the problem because of greed. He wanted to control everything in the country so that he can enslave everybody. People will run around him just because maybe without him they cannot survive. That was his own thing.
But from a commercial point of view, did GTG really benefit from this arrangement? In light of the fact that they also incurred debt, you owed them 64 million. Was it a profitable arrangement for them, or was the only winner the ex-president?
Well, because with GTG, I'm sure they were the only reason why they kept on. Okay, maybe they will have problems here and there, but ultimately they will, they will see how to recover because they were working with Yahya Jammeh. Because if you are not making money and you are a private company, you are not a Gambian, why don't you pack up and go? I used to tell the task force members, when they start complaining, about this, that, NAWEC, I told them, look, if you are having problems working with us, this is not forced labor, just pack up and go. Some of us, we are Gambians, we don't have any place to go.
So you see, yesterday we mentioned this to Mr. Fatajo.
Yes.
The key thing here is MIS, Management Information System. Do you believe you have a system in NAWEC that can provide figures on all the payables to GEG, everything you've paid to them throughout this arrangement, so that we get a full picture? He described the whole relationship as a disaster, but when you want to attach a dollar or dollars figure to the disaster, some work needs to be done. Do you have reliable MIS in-house that can provide this to the Commission?
Yes, up to the time I was there, I'm sure you can get the information unless maybe somewhere down the line something had happened, but the information should be there. Yes, the information should be there.
Mr. Jallow, just one question as a follow-on to the question asked by Chairman. You mentioned about the losses that occurred on the transmission and distribution lines. But we also heard evidence that a rehabilitation of the transmission and distribution lines of about $14 million was awarded to GTG. Did they not do this? Did it not have an impact on the lines?
Which year was this?
I can't recall. Maybe
2002.
2002.
Yes, I think this was the time, they installed the 18 megawatts from the Taiwanese.
Yes.
From the Taiwanese government. I think there was some transmission and distribution component when they were doing the 18 megawatts. Yes, there must, because I used to see some activity, even whereas I was not, involved with the project or whatever, but, I used to see them doing, extending, the transmission and distribution network.
Because one would expect that if this is done, then the losses shouldn't be that much. Because 27 to 33% is quite significant.
Yeah, the losses must have been much higher than that. You have to understand, like the expansion which took place from 2000, up to now is huge. Because before then, the output, the generation capacity was not that big. But you bring in more machines, you have to invest more in transmission and distribution, to make sure that your network is efficient.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Jallo. I will move on to the Social Security funded generators.
Yes,
This was during your time as well.
exactly.
I'll show you a contract dated 2nd October 2007. Between Global Trading Group NV and NAWEC for the supply of 2 generators with 2 Dodge engines. Can you show him exhibits SC97, please? Whilst they are looking for it. These generators were financed by Social Security.
Yes.
What was the circumstances of your signing the agreement, which is a 2-page agreement
Yes.
between you signed by Mr. Bazi and
Yeah.
yourself?
Yes. It's, it's the usual thing. They just call you.
Sorry?
I said it's like the usual thing.
Let's speak to this one specifically.
Yeah,
what
this
happened?
one.
Yes.
I was called, in the morning, to go to a meeting at the Ministry of Finance. Okay, when I got to the Ministry of Finance, I found, directors from Social Security and Housing sitting in the office, so then I joined them.
Whose office?
Okay, it was the minister's office. Okay, so
Who was the minister at the time?
the minister was Mr. Honorable Gay.
Okay. Right?
Yes, I found them there. Then after some time, Mohammed Bazi. He entered the office. Then he said he was from State House, and the president wants NAWEC to buy generators from China, and Social Security should provide the money for the generators to be bought. So, and that the transaction has to be completed as requested.
By Social Security?
Yes.
This was the 4.3 million.
4.3 million.
Million euro.
Yes.
So what happened after?
Well, what happened after some, it took a long time before the generators were delivered,
How long?
I think it was, can't remember offhand, but I think it was more than 1 year before they were generated. So we were paying Social Security at one time. We couldn't continue paying. Then we contacted them, and I think the payments were suspended. If my memory serves me right, the payments were suspended.
Now, you left, or you were removed in 2009?
Yes.
9?
Yes, I was.
By the time you were removed, had these generators been commissioned?
No, they were not commissioned.
Okay. So you came back in which year?
Yes, I came back in 2010. They were still on the project was still on the table.
The generators had still not been commissioned?
Yes, they have still not been commissioned.
There was a supplementary, there was another amount that was paid. By Social Security, 1.8 million euro in respect of these generators.
It was like, it's going to be like an IPP, something like an IPP.
The capacity charge
Yes.
and its suspension. During the time you were managing director, were you involved in this issue of the suspension of the capacity charge for the IPP, Brikama Power Plant?
Brikama. Up to the time I was being removed in 2009, I think we were paying capacity charge.
Okay, when you came back in 2010, do you recollect what happened regarding the capacity charge? If you don't, it's been a long time. If you don't recollect, that's fine.
I can't remember, unless I see the documentation.
Now, apart from, let me just move on to another subject.
Okay.
The Venezuela loan.
Yes.
You were the managing director?
Yes, I was.
Well, maybe I'll just ask you to give us as concisely as possible, please, your own take about this Venezuela contract. What happened?
Well, it was a $22 million loan from Bandes Bank. You know, it was facilitated by the...
Was a loan from?
Venezuela.
Yes.
Bandes Bank, Venezuela.
Which bank?
Bandes.
Bandes.
Yes, Bandes. So, you know, we presented them with a project document for the...
You presented?
Like Bandes Bank.
Sorry, I can't...
Bandes Bank.
You said you presented a project?
Document, yes.
Okay.
For, in the tune of $22 million to improve and expand the transmission and distribution network within the Greater Banjul area. So it took time before the loan was approved. I think it was approved in 2009, but disbursement started, I think, in 2010, the latter part of 2010. It was tendered, you know, for the supplies, you know, over 90%, if my memory serves me right, over 90% of the tender was won by GTG. Then small amounts here and there, I think we are won by some Gambian companies, Davanani and others, for the supplies. But with regards to the works, you know, a lot of Gambian transmission and distribution companies participated in carrying out the works.
According to the documents we have, 10 lots, the contract was in 17 lots. 10 lots were won by Global Trading Group, GTG, 4 lots by Phoenicia Commercial Group, PCG, and 3 lots by Dabanani Electrical Enterprises.
Yes.
When you do you know who is Phoenicia Commercial Group? Phoenicia Commercial Group. Do you remember?
No. It's not group. No, I can't.
These documents were produced yesterday by NAVEC. I'll show you the documents.
Okay.
SC 96. I have 96. SC 96. It's a folder. I'm showing the witness SC96. This, the contracts are in SC96. There are 3 contracts. The first one, as you see, is NAWEC and Global Trading Group for the 10 lots. If you look at this, you can look at the signature page. It was signed by Mamadou B. Jallo on behalf of NAWEC and Ahmad Hodroj, Director Global Trading Group, on behalf of GTG. And then you have the one for Phoenician Commercial Group, PCG. If you look at the signature page, it was signed by yourself and Ali Safidin, Director of Phoenicia Commercial Group, Middle East Commercial Center.
This Phoenician Commercial Group. It could have been an associate of, Global, because, sometimes when you have projects, or the group, yes.
Okay, we'll come to the water project.
Yes, GTG.
Now, we have evidence from Mr. Patajo that who was involved in the process of the tender, that part of the funds from the loan was utilized other than for this project. Was utilized for other purposes than for the project. Other purposes involving NAWEC, of course, but other than for the project. Do you know anything about this?
Yes. Okay. If my memory serves me right, I think we received a letter from OP, from the Office of the President, that with regards to this project, we have to, part of the funds should be used to settle, the Bazi Group, because there was a mystery or mysterious generator, that, was at Kotu.
Did you say mysterious?
Well, because I found it there and nobody could tell me, how, it got to the power station. Likewise, I think there were other 4, generators, that I found there. Also, Caterpillar sets, which, this is why I said mysterious, to me.
That's fine. I just needed to hear the word.
So they said we have to pay, like, I think from the project that generator was paid for. Then other outstanding invoices were also paid for, if my memory serves me right.
I'm just curious, how was that doable, considering, well, it was a loan, I suppose. Did the bank, Bandes, you said? The bank had no issue with that?
Yes, before going any further, I would also like to say that I witnessed the signing of the contract in Venezuela, but...
you mean you signed the contract?
No, I did not sign it. I was there when it was being signed on behalf of...
the loan agreement?
The loan agreement, okay. But when I got back to the Gambia, to my surprise, there was a letter, I think from OP or from the Ministry of Energy, that a supervisory committee has been formed to oversee, matters with regards to the disbursement, of the loan, And to my surprise, as managing director, my name was not in the list. I felt offended because I know how hard I have, fought for this project with the ambassador, Mr. Jahumpa.
Mr.
Bala. He was the ambassador in Caracas.
Bala Jahumpa?
Yes, he used to call me almost 24 hours a day, weekends, weekdays, just, to make sure that, the project is granted, okay? So after doing all that, upon my return, I found that, they've already selected other people, to, supervise the loan. I was a bit upset.
To supervise the?
With regards to the
disbursement, you said?
Yes, with regards to...
Who were these people? Was NAWEC represented?
Yes, NAWEC was represented. But
by who?
But for me, as managing director,
you were not.
My name was not, but my deputy's name was...
Who represented NAWEC?
My deputy was representing NAWEC.
Who?
My deputy MD.
Who was your deputy?
It was Sira.
Sira who? Mr.
Sira Wali Njai. She was my deputy then.
Can you give her full name, please?
Sira Wali Njai.
Okay. She represented NAWEC.
Well,
what was her position at NAWEC at the time?
She was deputy managing director.
Who else was on the committee?
The chairman.
Who was the chairman?
Mustafa Koli.
Mustafa Koli.
Koli, yes. Yeah, I think unless maybe I know from the Ministry of Energy, either the PS or the minister, I cannot remember. Then NAWEC may be the finance director, I'm not sure. Maybe the letter could be traced.
What was the role of this committee?
Well, it says supervisory.
To supervise
the management of the
loan.
Yes. So when I protested to the PS, he told me, look, don't worry, this is good for you. Don't worry about it.
They said, don't worry?
No, he told me not to worry about the whole thing.
Did you say, don't worry, this is good for you?
Well, kind of.
No, sorry, I just want to hear what you said because the record has captured it.
Yes, he said, he realized that I was upset. Then he told me, don't worry, it may even be good for you, So.
What did he mean by that? What was your understanding of what he meant?
Well, my understanding, everybody knew Yahya Jammeh, how he operates when it comes to monetary issues. So maybe he felt that if I'm not in charge of this thing, maybe it's better for me in a way.
Okay. Let me just put this to you because it's in the record.
Yeah.
What Mr. Fatah just said was that the two suppliers, GTG and PCG, inflated their prices. They said to finance other outstanding projects like G9, which he said was the generator, and West Region project, the rural electrification, the Western Region electrification project.
Inflated. Well, I don't know whether they inflated or maybe they did not supply everything as it is in the document, as it is in their submission.
So it could be one or the other?
Yes, most likely, yes.
Meaning that the scope of the project was reduced to make room for outstanding invoices?
Outstanding invoices.
Or they could have?
Exactly,
okay.
yes.
I understand. All right. Now the water project,
yes.
That is the what project?
The Kotu.
What was it called?
Kotu Ring, I think it's Kotu Ring Rural Water Supply Project.
This was also during your time?
Yes, it was during my time, yes.
Yeah, tell us about this project.
The project was funded by the Islamic Development Bank. That is to improve the water production, transmission and distribution within the Greater Banjul area. So once the project was approved, it was tendered. Okay, the project was tendered. I think we got 2 or 3 bidders, if my memory serves me right, and GTG, sorry, Water Resources and Development. I think it's a Lebanese or a Syrian company, I can't remember. They were one of the bidders. Then I can remember there was another Nigerian company. I think they were represented by Mr. Alaji Conte. So then I cannot remember the others. So the tender was in lots, I think 4 lots. Then either Ward won 2 lots and the Nigerian company won 2 lots, or 3-1 or 2-2. I cannot recall. I cannot remember. Okay. So then the contract was awarded, but somewhere down the line, the Nigerian company did not perform, because I think they won one of the lots involving the overhead tanks, because apparently their bid was so low. Maybe they realized their mistake, so they were able to just disappear out of the process. So I think then it was awarded to the next bidder, which was what they ended up, I think, doing everything.
Sorry, you have to speak up.
Sorry. I said
it was awarded to the next highest bidder, which was?
I think what? I think they ended up doing what? That is Water Resources and Development.
Yes.
Yes, I think they ended up executing the project, because I think it was around the same time I was removed. Maybe we need to check the dates, because they were also being kind of represented by the Global Trading Group.
By the?
By the Bazi Group.
What? I believe
Yes,
Mr. Fadi, one of the witnesses before the commission, has indicated that that was one of their companies. So what happened in this project? Were the water tanks built?
Like I said, I was removed before implementation started, but I can see when driving, on the Senegambia-Bijilo Highway, I can see a tank at ITC. That was one of the sites for the project.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it deployed?
Was it?
Deployed.
No, I mean I was out of the
You were
system.
out of office.
Okay,
we will get the file.
Right. I was out of the
Were there any other projects that you want to talk about? During your time?
During my time.
Mr. Jallow, this commission is investigating financial dealings of the ex-president.
Yes.
And particularly, of course, his dealings with the SOEs, state-owned enterprises like yourself, public enterprises like NAWEC, and so on. So we are focusing on projects. Of course, the commission's mandate is not limited, but we are focusing on the ex-president. Were there any projects where the ex-president was involved, or the office of the president was involved during the time you were there?
I was there.
That you haven't already spoken about?
Well, okay, like the 30 megawatt project, that is the IDB funded project. Okay, the 10 megawatt, it was the 10 megawatt, that is the 8.9 megawatt generator. in Brikama. They call it the Vatsila set.
They call it the?
Vatsila.
The Vatsila?
Vatsila, yes.
What about the 30 megawatt?
Yeah, that is part of the 30. You know, it was in two phases. Okay.
Okay. Are you suggesting the ex-president was involved in this project?
Well, I can say that, like the first one, the 10 megawatt, I can fully recall. We tendered for 10 megawatts, 1 by 10. Okay, then Mr. Bazi, for some reason, he wanted to offer, I think, 3 second-hand sets instead of the 10. You know, he told me about it. You know, then to the Minister of Finance, you know, I told the Finance Minister about it. I told him, look, this man is Bazi saying that the President said, you know, he can bring 3 by 6 megawatt sets instead of the new 1 by 10 megawatts. So, but I told, yeah, the minister said, okay, the President said so, but I told him...
Sorry, the minister said what?
Yes, he concurred with what Bazi told me.
Which minister was this?
This was, Mr. Gay was the minister at the time, Finance.
Mr. Balagay?
Yes, at the Ministry of Finance.
He concurred, meaning what? That
meaning
the President had said this?
That, yeah, okay. So, but like I explained to them that this is an IDB project and there is no way that, that the Islamic Development Bank will accept second-hand sets because the money is part grant loan and part leasing. So technically they also own the generator until it is fully paid for. So IDB will not agree to that. But you know, like when the Yahya Jammeh says something, I'm not blaming the minister because all these projects that we initiated during my time, either we initiated or we implemented, Mr. Gay is the main man behind all these projects. That's why they came to the country.
That's why? That's
why these projects, you know, are here. You know, because to be fair to him, I went with him to Saudi, to Vienna, Khartoum, and he was able to get projects for NAWEC. You know, almost 7 projects. But because of the way Yahya Jammeh operates, even seeing people like the finance minister, you know, maybe they knew him more than I do. Well, sometimes young people tend to hesitate, you know, but for older people, you know, they wouldn't, you know, they cannot maybe withstand some of the...
Okay, Mr. Jallow, we need to focus on one thing at a time. Okay. You are telling us about this 10 megawatt generator.
Yes.
So what happened eventually?
Well, I explained that to him, but, you know, like since Yahya Jammeh said this thing, so luckily the desk officer came to visit us from the Islamic Development Bank. So I explained this thing to him, you know, and I told him, you know, this thing.
Please pull the mic towards yourself so we can hear you distinctly.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, I explained the situation to him and that, you know, like, I'm worried that the project may fail because the president is saying that, you know, we can substitute this thing for second-hand sets. And he told me categorically no. So I told him then, you know, I would like to go with you to the finance minister and you explain to him that this cannot happen. You know, this is unacceptable to the Islamic Development Bank. So I went with him to the finance ministry and he explained to the finance minister that this thing cannot IDB. In fact, he was very angry, you know, the way he was even talking to the minister because he couldn't understand why, you know, they should substitute, they should try to change the project. So he said that this thing cannot happen. Okay, the only thing as a concession may be if the Bazi group, if they want to tender for the you know, for the supply of the generators or for the project, then the deadline can be extended maybe by a few weeks so that they can put in their bids. But there is no way that the bank will agree to second-hand sets being substituted for, you know, for the new set. So this was how.
So this was the first phase of the project?
Yes, the first phase, and this was, I think, implemented in 2011. You know.
By that time, before implementation, you had left?
You know, I left while the process was on. Then I came back on, so it was implemented.
Okay. So who implemented that project?
It was done by Wärtsilä.
By?
Wärtsilä. Wärtsilä, that's the Finnish company.
Okay, alone?
Yes, they won it and they implemented it. Okay. Then
what about the second phase?
The second phase, that is on right now. That is, that one also, Yahya Jammeh interfered with it, because by the time I left in 2011, we've already got, no objection, like, for the project. You know, I think it was about $20-something million, if I can remember. You know, that was approved by the Islamic Development Bank for the second phase, which was the 10 megawatts. And I left in 2011, but up to today, you know, the project is incomplete because, you know, whilst I was away, I understand that there was a lot of interference that who the project should be given to. So it delayed a lot of things. So this is why still now, you know, the project should have been concluded by 2013, latest 2014, but now we are in 2018, and the project is still not complete. So that was because of his, interference.
Okay. During the period that you were in office, did you do did NAWEC carry out any private works for the ex-president?
Yes, we did some works for him.
Were you paid for it, for them?
Well, when you say private, you mean State House?
I mean maybe Kanilai?
Yes.
Private as not for government.
Yes, we did jobs in Kanilai. We were never paid. In Kanilai, we did jobs there. State House, we did jobs there.
So you're talking about works for which you were not paid?
Yes. Okay, we did jobs at Palm Grove. You know, the rehabilitation of Palm Grove for the army. We did that, and then we supervised some works for him. This was in Sifo farm, but that one he paid for it. He paid for that one.
Okay, Mr. Jallow, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you your statement, which is quite comprehensive. If you could identify it, because it's difficult to expect you to retain everything in your memory. If you could identify your statements, I would apply to have them admitted. Mr. Jallow, all I require you to do is to confirm that these are your statements. You wrote these statements for the investigators?
Yes.
Okay. Could you collect the statements back, please? Is there anything else you would like to tell this commission that would be useful for them to understand what transpired in NAWEC, and so that...
Yes, all I would like to say, like there was a lot of interference and a lot of fear at NAWEC because of the nature of operations at NAWEC. NAWEC needs a lot of...
Come back, please.
NAWEC needs a lot of investment to turn around the organization. So, good manpower, good human resources. But during the period I was at NAWEC, it was very difficult.
Could you sign that one, the second statement? You can date it today.
Yeah, I think in summary, what I can say is that, you know, it was unfortunate that there was a lot of interference at NAWEC. You know, bringing in business people who are linked to Yahya Jammeh, you know, to oversee NAWEC, because you have to understand that such people could be very dangerous because money means everything to them. You know, they will sacrifice anybody for money, just like Yahya Jammeh himself. So if this was not the case, you know, I'm confident that, you know, the professionals we had at NAWEC at the time could have turned things around, because we knew what we wanted for NAWEC and for the country. That is to make sure that the problems of NAWEC, you know, were history. You know, and we could have done this because we have very good people working at NAWEC. You know, at the same time, we had very good Gambians working in international organizations like the Islamic Development Bank, you know, the African Development Bank, BADIA. Not only Gambians, but to tell you the truth, some of the projects here, we were helped by Senegalese and some other West Africans, even, you know, Ethiopians, you know, that we met in some of these organizations. They were always willing to help, you know, the Gambia. But because the agenda was always different, you know, it's like they don't want the problem to be solved, because if the problem is solved, Yahya Jammeh will not make money. Because if we go to IDB and we get 30 megawatts or 100 megawatts or 50, the generation problem would have been solved long time ago. And those people were willing to help, you know, NAWEC solve the problem. But we never got the support from the Office of the President. Maybe the Finance Minister, you go to him to explain, he will do his best. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it wouldn't. So, likewise with regards to the water, you know, we would have solved the problem, but the way this was, the place was being run by Yahya Jammeh together with, you know, people very close to. So you are always paranoid at work, you know, at night, you know, you are afraid that they will pick you up. You know, even when you get calls from people who have been detained by Yahya Jammeh or fired, you know, you get scared because he can pick you up. They can pick you up sometime down the line and start interrogating you. You know, I can even give you an example whereby when he fell out with his butler, you know, because the butler would call me from time to time, you know, all of them, you know, they kind of poorly paid, you know, they will call you, I want you to help me with this, that, you know. To my surprise, when he fell out with the butler, you know, a high-level panel was set up, and he tried to frame me, you know, as if I was planning to, you know, poison him on behalf of some high-level detainees at Mile 2. So I'm still suffering from that trauma. So since then, you know, I started avoiding, and I was advised, you know, you should not.
So you were arrested and taken to Mile 2?
No, I was not arrested. What I'm saying, I had to face a panel, you know, a high-level panel. That is the police commissioner in charge of Interpol, then the crime management coordinator, and the head of the fraud squad or serious crime, and then I cannot remember the fourth person, you know, but they came to my office because they were investigating the butler that, you know.
You were managing director at the time?
At NAWEC, yes, you know. So, you know, they wanted to implicate me in that scandal, you know, like poisoning scandal, that I wanted to, you know, work with others. That was...
Sorry, we missed the point. What were they in that panel?
They were investigating his butler.
Fraud?
Butler. No, it was not about fraud. It was about poisoning.
Poisoning?
Yes.
Okay.
Because his butler was, I think...
So the allegation was his butler tried to poison him?
Yes, and some of us...
And you are an acquaintance of the butler?
Yes, so they were, you know, he tried to frame me as if I was, because I knew the detainees who were at Mile 2 at this time, the detainees he suspected in the thing also. I knew them. You know, they used to call me before they were detained. I used to visit them, they would visit me, you know. So since then, even, you know, it got to me to a point that, you know, I just had to cut off with a lot of people because there was too much, like his radar was locked on me, you know. For some reason he wanted to see me annihilated or whatever, because any little thing he would try to involve, you know, profile me, you understand. So these are all things that people suffer at NAWEC. Even if you want to post the boys at State House, because we are responsible for the generator at State House, but even if you want to post them there, you know, they wouldn't like to go because they are afraid that they will be arrested if there is a blackout there or if there is a problem with the generator. Likewise at Kanilai, you know, they wouldn't like to go there because they tell you, boss, if you take me there, you know, I may run into problems because it's very difficult to work with Yahya Jammeh. So these are all problems that we were facing with NAWEC. So this was why with the IPP, whenever there is a problem, you know, everybody at the power station would get scared when there is a blackout, because whether the blackout was caused by Kotu Power Station or Brikama, you know, it's all on the people at NAWEC. So it was a very scary, you know, time that we went through.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted two statements made by this witness, signed by him, one dated 26 March 2018 and the other 23rd April 2018. Secretariat.
two witness statements by witness number 196, Momodu B. Jallo, respectively dated 26 March 2018 and 23rd April 2018 on NAWEC post-dated checks and their discount, and on general NAWEC issues. Admitted Mag SC 98.
I have no further questions for this witness. We have one more witness.
Okay.
We can start with him.
Now, Mr. Jallo, I just want to ask a few questions, please. It is true that NAWEC has always had a monopoly on power,
Yes.
power generation and so on, supply.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask, has NAWEC ever conducted a study on why it has not made a profit?
I can't remember a study being conducted, but...
That's all right. I can't force you.
Okay,
If you
okay.
can't remember, you can't remember.
No, I can't
But
remember
we
a study being
we don't remember having any
study being
any such document here. But maybe as we go along.
Okay.
Now, you've been the MD of NAWEC
Yes.
for quite a while, until you left. Where are you now, by the way? What work do you do?
No, I am with AMRC.
With the AMRC.
Yes.
All right. We believe that NAWEC has not been successful, profit-wise, for several reasons, among other things. I will pose those issues one by one,
Okay.
and perhaps you can help us get the answer.
Okay.
We are saying, one, it was because of theft of money, materials, and electricity itself. What do you say to that?
No, I don't think so.
Is that?
doesn't think so.
You don't think so? Good.
Two,
It was because of inflation of charges by suppliers.
that is likely. That is likely.
Three, it was due to inadequate generation of power.
Well, generating power and profitability, they could be different.
Maybe.
They could.
Yes. Can you explain the
Yes,
difference?
you can generate enough electricity, but you may not make profit. Like if the tariff is not right, if the network is not in good condition, and also if the cost of production is very high, then you will not make profit.
Three, it was because of bad network of transmission and distribution.
It contributed. It
Okay.
contributed.
It contributed.
Yes, all these I'm talking about are contributions.
Yes.
They are not sole reasons.
Okay.
I do
Yeah.
know that it must have been a combination of reasons.
Reasons.
That's why I'm splitting them.
Okay.
If you agree, you agree. If
Yes,
you don't agree, you don't agree.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Inefficient management of fuel, spare parts, and repairs.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
6, central and local government areas of bill payments. In other words, huge debts owed by both the central government and local government.
Yes.
7, ex-President Jammeh / Bazi in positions and interference.
Yes.
That is all I have to ask.
Okay.
Thank you.
One, now internally, you can confirm a study on why NAWEC has not been profitable. Now, from would-be investors, was there any assessment paper, by way of their intention to acquire NAWEC or get some stake in it? And then what made them change their mind?
Well, like during my time, most of the investors who used to come to NAWEC with regards to generation, that is IPP, they are not, they are more or less like individuals, sometimes they call them like fly-by-nights, So such people will not involve themselves in any studies. Maybe they just felt that, okay, they can come and maybe through their contacts, they think that they can come here and get and get business. So those people definitely, they would not spend time trying to, employ consultants or whatever to carry out due diligence and things like that, before they, go into any business here.
So in terms of management briefings between yourself, the ministry, and the office of the president, there hasn't been any paper on the reasons why NAWEC is not profitable? Well, something written down, a document?
Not a document, but sometimes we write to them explaining our constraint.
Yes, challenges, constraints.
Yeah, constraint that, like we are having problems because of this, that, and that, like, either because of high fuel prices or because of the dollar and things like that, and the low tariff, so we cannot meet at a time. We would send something like that.
But it will be specific on a certain issue,
exactly.
Not overall.
Not overall. Yeah.
So that means there was a general acceptance that NAWEC should just keep going. It doesn't matter. It will never make profits. Both on your side and on the side of the executive. Keep it going, no way to make profits. Is that correct?
Yes, because it was not like run like a business.
It wasn't run like
a business should be run. Like fine, it's a parastatal, you expect with a social responsibility, but at the same time you expect the business to be self-sustaining, but because of interference, that cannot be done. Like you cannot force the area councils, to pay the bills for the street lights, because if you disconnect the street lights, politics in the Gambia, or these people are opposition, they are sabotaging the government. Sometimes you disconnect civil aviation, you disconnect at the airport, or you are trying to embarrass the government, things like that, GRTS, all those, they owe NAWEC millions of dollars, but you cannot, you cannot touch them. And some other people, you touch them, they hang you. You are disconnecting me or this because you are opposition, That's how most Gambians, that's how they operated under Yahya Jammeh. It's just to make life difficult for people who want to change the country, people who want to transform the country. You run into problems because they wanted the status quo to remain, because maybe they were benefiting from the presidency of Yahya Jammeh or whatever.
Thank you.
You said NAWEC was not meant to make a profit, but at least it was not also created to incur debts to the tune of almost billions of dollars. Is that not correct?
Point of correction. I did not say that we should not, NAVEC should not make profit.
Oh, I see.
No,
then I misheard you.
Yes, I said.
I'm sorry about that.
Yes, I said.
It's all right.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
Okay. No.
You want us to take it? Do I understand you have another witness?
I have one more witness, yes.
A short one or a long one? You can't tell.
I can't tell.
We will rise. We'll be back at... All right, we'll be back in 15 minutes.